Mamefo on twitwi ne senware ye not camera nim kwase akeka saa for mana papa si anwumre.
I will never have an erection for a thing like this.
Jimmy ade Yesu kra ntumi nsa.
President Mahama repi nkwanketwa.
Kodi atama ya say invited by party headquarters. Emma, I say ye top ponama no.
Which man slept with this one too?
Ivan J. Innocent a blast TikTok Camilla Alhassan Mabiato Dr. Muhammad Baman but was on a video from mobile WhatsApp area. So your conversation straight to the news. Now the point about Ivan J. Innocent in there, Dr. Muhammad Bamiano Abe Yipebia also saw some hunodo Sebe and some maybe are very necessary about focusing. You would consider that Obi with the Obiatam and to make the point even straight, you know. Or cited the example of fancy comedy, the recent ensemble see with fancy comedy, this social media guy, or Kasa, one of the answers that to Naso Honda or Kasa. But then, we an NPP TikTok, or back and send be or cancel ma or co-prison, ma bandamenti no the reason why right after then, on the Dr. Muhammad Bamia. Adamawato no puno papayin or tell one. So it is more about there. Say yimpano can summoners are summoned or can so the party wants a way to try and defend the person by way of the auto ponazama yimpano. Na say at the to pun the man for or my chimano so be feel encouraged there. Oh, some new paying pokra or two upon what the manner. And on the check, I'm don't know a cool chop. Oh no, ma Camilla Alhassan or called Dama Pepe do not quite because was started binum was two pun with the mobinum. Into a seven, we can ask some there. Say, I shall be kutupa. Nasa will be food your panasi piana. No, just so food your pana will pianos, and not one year when you know your pantan and when you will piano. Into Kuma was started a warrior. In the year was started a warrior. Ningnan was because in painful within the NPP did not do that which was the good bidding of Daniels. Where the good bidding of the NPP? And then the people who are crying are Camilla Alhassan and one where just TikTokers. Na shada how I ate on Indomie. Shada our backward. Shada, we were a family woman. Na sisi and wabu frebe, one of our wabra were prisoning. Eka spend 1 year in prison, all because a year wajin there because it's a woman pain. Na year without having any evidence to say there will be a pedophile no okwechipa. Into koma yidino has to do with how a man for those who work kasa wabre when you there they are having political affiliations. Sabe, having a political affiliation does not stop you to sharing your opinion. This is democracy. But unfortunately, because no kwenu to munkwe people are doing that what they are doing. Onu ena Ivan or Chede. Dama kutupano in the year bakano asam. No the hintasem the host of the show was actually very surprised. But one of the video phone was up area. To what document and couldn't come on area.
Yan share your discussion as a tell Ivan I down for Camilla Alhassan abai ya na no eko pa na okan me was obeka the tia President John Dramani Mahama okan wi okura no ba ko obeka ni say one of your TikTokers now move for NPP now. Womu di atem omu panifo no beba be yiwo mum yiwo mu wi anoma ye star na brochire for ne ho say womu so mu ho.
Oh, she said that.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yes.
But Alaska, you don't even need to play. Sasem no.
Okay.
I sat in this studio and I told you exactly the motivation behind some of these things. That is how irresponsible a political party the NPP has become. You see, very often when you are doing discussion like this, John Mahama and his government and the so you better how your Jumana say you be making sure the government does the right thing. Not to near my when near my you criticize and draw the government attention to do the right thing. Ordinary, that is how the conversation subsequently but I take a sharp detour because the opposition that is supposed to be a beneficiary of such debates, are drawn into a character. Instead of discussing government, and the opposition have become a subject of political discussion in almost every topic, not on the prospect of power, but maybe on the lines of negativity.
Okay.
And a political party, a opposition party, either in positive light, I better draw closer to power, or in negative light, I better take you away from power. When the NDC was in opposition, Akufo-Addo nsem hunu na oye ni nyina na discussion na gia towards NDC's favor, it was positive. But then in opposition, the negative line is what the NPP is receiving. I sat here and I told you, sir, political party, even if we are dissatisfied with, and some of the other kind of social media, I did the certain president attempt, I can't say fee. Now, if it's a support to Nipano, you don't do the way Dr. Bahumia did. Yes, I brand to be yourself and fancy comment, and they see themselves as baby heroes.
Oh, yes.
Because after all, the vice president invited me for insulting a certain president.
And a very open.
Exactly.
This would the attempt.
Bakubi Kodi attempt, I say, invited them at party headquarters. Emma, I say, yeah, top panamano. And so when you do these things, you reduce yourself and to the arena of political gutters. I don't know. No serious mind will take you serious. And I told you these unwitty people doing this nasty stuff see themselves as heroes. I've tried to the whole party was already ordinary. I would take the Kwakuba stance. Sir, that particular stance has always been said. I would prefer the ugly noises over culture of silence. That's my position.
Okay.
Because the space we found ourselves in Obia Canadian, because I believe that it is in that line, find discourse within, and you bet me find the fiber and the thread. I bet me seal together to make this nation great again. Democracy be anywhere they are second yet, and they am felt to a lie in the fine conversation, the struggle in terms of ideas, a bit me balance things, and yet me build a moody society to fit the description. I be in line with the prospect and the welfare you seek as people. Because your destiny is in our own hands. How do we achieve that? A line in the discord, the disagreement, the dissenting views, and those who are we know. Sanya money in a Kikamboma, Alaska, yet to me the teacher of mine. And on any day, I will never hold anybody say what children are criticizing about that. Because in as much as you disagree with a person, maybe who pay attention to Samna or Kana, Ubenya be free.
That's right.
Balaska, Yakwa could do a point here. It is no longer about criticism of a government. It is no longer criticism of a president. Any Nema or yeah. But some individuals have turned themselves into a certain who's a nuisance of political nuisance being sponsored by some shadow guys within the political space. Ana platform ombenya so na ya TikTok na me ankasa mpo na me Alaska ehwa eno mudidi sansem hunu we nyina saying things enya nokre insulting a man for can sama eni na. Now you think political criticism is about insulting people? It is not. It's about can sama ewa national security implications ye fro se bua wuntumi nya no. Some of this ordinary day, me, I don't support some of these things. So be a can some ya chen. But Alaska, you see, so what chichiro maya. There are certain corrective measures that you need to take.
Okay.
Because in the past, you know, not these social platforms in the only a kwenya obenya chira wadwen or radio and not TV so and they say be a wafre. And I afra one wakwatera radio so. But maka there are no consumers of news. We are all prosumers. We are producing and consuming at the same time.
Okay.
Multiple channels. And there must be a certain regulatory framework. I bet that. And I'm some platforms and I say Enya Hoto FM, and then GBC, and then TV3 nkwa. Na mumene. Usha wodema. Every single worker at Ahoto FM has the medium and the platform to start his own media by the social media.
Exactly.
So you think that space should not be regulated?
It's huge.
So the mere fact that Kufuor time, the mere fact that Rollins time, the mere fact that in the past these things were not in place, you know, because society has radically transformed. In terms of developmental lines, now the platforms now also, you know, certain measures must also be taken into consideration in making sure, say, in as much as the platforms have become diverse, you know, crime by the efforts are regulated. Because I lost some amount 40 social media, these things have implications. very serious implications. And say I went on social media who kumase sa flag semne your friends said identity card and I'm saying say if the president and the government do not pay attention to some of these things, or mind will be degenerating into tribal fascism, so that kind of way, no. Never do baby, no. Because when these things become deeply rooted and embedded in the people, that is why the agitation and the attempt to secede from the country will begin. Because there shouldn't be motivation for some of these things. The very moment people begin driving some of this narrative, selling around these things, or being also in other places may start those things. So the state need to take all these things very serious. Now you pay attention to Sanya and then on the sidelines and then na flag way nama and then na ubi ID card nama and then ya t-shirt nama and those in money you might think is a way of, you know, selling a particular tribe or group. But in a larger political way, no, it was serious consequences and implications. It might not be today, as I'm making, we are all watching what will happen in the future. People will start threatening you, so we will break away. And it got to that point when they become convinced that we have everything, things will be too late for you. You can't do anything about it. So these are things that we need to take serious. So on that particular account, that is why you can justify some of these things. It is not to punish Nipana Wakeka Science. Nambum is a cautionary kind of statement sending out to people. To deter others. Exactly, to deter further engagement. Because you see, and American Obia wherever the platform Obia or online Obia way, Obi the camera send him so kasa, and running she said, Ben, ever many partner who said, and some of the American. Because you can't assume say the answer. It's not possible. No, it's not true.
Okay.
You cannot assume that human beings on their own accord will do the right thing. No. That's why I'm catching us up as who you really are. That's where you know who you really are. Nipa on their own will never do the right thing. Empty. Say you can say, oh, media space number, obianya the open, and there are no regulations. You can just say anything. You have a pool of idiots. Nipa omunim nyansa. Instead of using the platform to do something very educative, no, they will use it to advertise to the world how stupid they are. That is because we onim nyansa. We are not here nye. We can't say nyamia body we are singing na de ni hu and nipa onim nyansa.
Nyamia body.
Oh, ni hu chamba ifo.
Onim nyansa.
Ah, Alaska. Nipa onim nyansa ni hu chamba ifo ana bonsam.
But nyamina born no.
Yes. Na sama na meka say Yesu tumi onya ba wiase nyina no oye nsankyerane nya na obi a wawu na ate say uti say osa agimi for ya de da.
There be o.
Wo so obi yesi obi agimi na Yesu ba ya nsankyerane. Jimi ya de a Yesu kura ntumi nsa. Enti side pan ni hu ade obetimi aye.
Na sanfa tumi sama sa nipa.
Exactly. Ade a nipa onim nyansa betimi aye no. Me say ebeye wadwen we. So people will get the social media platform, and yeah, no, your friend is about for the make sikai. What the Maya, so he tells you how much he earns. If you go out there are people making millions using social media. Minimum be on call law school that why you see YouTube, you see law to the on certificate there, but there is no legal argument you make on to me yet. There are young people in this country, our more use the YouTube app. Asunya Chinese, Asunya Italian language, Asunya Spanish. They are very fluent. Oh, there was a guy on social media, like quite recently, he was speaking Spanish. He used YouTube to learn.
Wow.
Alaska, among for you use YouTube to learn coding. People are using the same TikTok, no, for very educative Niama.
AI,
exactly. But bibi niya or free her. Not going to say young for niatem. And unfortunately, we are Ghana for to don't know Mokogwa Bruto be a samba. Mamma for on to chin the same yare, not a camera nim, Pasiake cancer from an apophysian. Alaska, as a man of crayon to Sabi. Sa, Utimusa Mamio respecting what that's all in a nim crow to hear not the camera nim. Sanko di Tumbarantian Corafua and Kaye. And some fear Sabia, any say peer free Nipano ba, any free Nipano ban or more yes, and your man. And the way your mind out to her. In shaping the future of that country, you may want to take into consideration where Sabetimi this emerging and surging nonsense. And yes, sir, so these things, in as much as I don't subscribe to some of them, Alaska, can we say that we are folding our arms and watch these things? Because you see, for the past 2 years in here, there has been such instances, cases, ya koso eba, fancy comedy, the ebani amani bill no coffee, weba no kwani yamani bill no coffee, weba ni amani bill no coffee. Now no police can be frame, no say he's worried.
Okay.
Because who had the rate at which and that's how near my way air koso. Now what shall say? Nipani a chinako giddy near money bill, and that no before Frakaye. I told the NPP as a Sunday, the whole party machinery near the cracket ones who come no here. Yes, why your social media did the president at him. Now the whole party, and Maranti or Mofudi or Monim, and Nigeria Jim say defended some of these things. So the children doing these things are feeling motivated, they feel incentivized. Say after all, say Obi enemy. Na me kodio mampanyina tem na say ye be cheme MPP for be defend me obi abehume. And these people think they see themselves as heroes because after all, the whole vice president either came to their house or they went to him.
That's right.
They were invited to political party head office. Aye team man for because ye dio mampanyina tem. Na party ni dia baye nie. Enti be catch us the MPP and na bubu ma na dan kra party a am kra ni dia nimu a. You need to understand. Papa na mo friend ne buo ohene na mo friend ne buadu no mo friend say yin. Ba bi o mo koto aba no. Nkansa buadu. Eno a wote nsama na oka. That nsama me say nsama ye mu binum ye gina yate ho a ye hu no. Alaska wo fra bo sen ta so 30 wo hu. Nsam na oka na ya kan twam. And sometimes we come and for say what into what two when you see political parties. So me team when you see political party no feed me. When the power go and find me home. But the thing is that as be a mere believer in democracy, I'm a person institutions of our democratic institutions very effective. Now political parties, I have vehicles, I had to capture political power. I can't hold you know. I am inherent way to ensure say the political party will be effective, will be responsible. Now, why are the right thing? And some will go wrong. We are entitled to say that. You understand? But here is the political party. Penimfono more party lumina and your friends are paying pamo munina. And naka boys with emotions.
Also, woman,
Alaska, a boys with babies' emotions. Asamba on transit meaning who say, Mina midi party. Now I need to take certain penimfo approach. Towards say you found resolve on name no. Na nsam no boom asem no si enyanwie na general secretary na platform so church nsam mu and nsam na o ka no u bisa say general secretary na kasa na say AI na kasa ba kom na nipa general secretary Alaska na nsam no bi o na o ka ba kasa say AI ya programming no kasa boom na no me hu video bi a circulate on social media ya say Bole secondary school teacher Nina, but me nyasho say or no me yeso say AI.
Okay.
I will say your man and kwara akura no. Alaska, GS in chassis as early as possible in chassis and yes psychiatric test. I was some of the schools. Cause some of the teacher for no
psychiatric test.
Now Alaska, teacher niya o for kofa akura when another yacho. What when you could control the camera see when him say your friend saying he owes Ghana for so person wara akura na oboda man how can such person call himself a teacher? Oboda man saying it's because of AI because I don't envisage any part that's any bias idea no.
Last year our platform was in our cars say we do bank na
yeah Eco bank yes
bank name pay
yes police for original ho
and I be just
yeah, because there are certain things that I don't understand.
But once since I also move.
Oh, Alaska. How can a teacher need walk school class certificate or child crowd there? Not by whatever means. What you mean now? A crowd na ya record what you by a national shame. No, to me, granted, na minimum why ya jano. And say on a person cocoa and one day. Now I are hey, no mind be near. Oro person kwaya akra no hade no ware no na media men so the camera dinanim na oka na media fo nyina postu Alaska, maybe I'm a Canadian man, because some people have like you wonder, like how possible.
And what say see?
And he says see, but it's happening in Nyamebaya Republic. That is what Nyamebaya Republic. So Alaska, that is the reality of the matter.
Okay.
So the MPP as a political party, maybe they need to pause. Now we review all their priorities, making sure say. You see, if a political party, there is one thing doing things our party based by also. That one there is not normal, and that one has no political capital. But it is another thing if you are able to convince reasonable people to come to your fold. And my culture say, answer a political party be best survival. You should have the capacity to convince at least a certain proportion of intellectuals within the society.
It's true.
Alaska, yeah, go to 2024 elections, Abba. For the first time in the history of this country, you saw your friends saying university lecturers from University of Ghana. Our Monam President John Dramani Mahama as a candidate.
The flyers.
The flyers at the time. Not the sitting president, and the head of government. But they felt to say enough is enough. They've had bad governance, and teacher Nia willingly, teacher Nia willingly, unko babia enko yin anim so all your politics, omoyi and I'm straight. Your politics.
They are calling the bluff of the government.
Exactly. What can come can come. So if you're a position party and you're able to endear, position yourself, and people have that confidence, they will risk their job. They will risk their career. They will risk their future. But Alaska, can you risk your future for this group of people who don't even know, who can't even make one sound decision and get it right?
Now what they are telling me is that the table will turn.
And that is the most silly, your friends have flip of this particular conversation. And the tables will turn. So if your people are being killed, you will sit down till they kill all of them until the table turn. Is it reasonable? Because I'm same way, but if a leader of a political party is saying, the table will turn. Is there any guarantee the table will turn soon? When is the table going to turn? And what says even the table turns, it will turn in your favor? Do you have that assurance? Do you have that guarantee? So if you think that something wrong is being done, why don't you make sure that we take corrective measures and fix it today?
That's right.
Call the young people in your party, educate them. And then I make so where the NPP communication machinery now, I'm worried. I can't just say if they need a consultant, they should come. We will charge them and fix something for them. Because you see, Alaska, when you lose power and you are communicating, you can't assume arrogant posture. You need to speak with an appealing tone, a bit of an admission, and then you put the pressure on the government. That is what you do. But you come from a background of Medaminyanya. So as a bugabio free China bar, earphones, situation, so earpiece, and as my waba, or be so in DSC. But on your own, you messed up. They're happy, yet Timothy, you are the key architecture, very instrumental in its creation. Why we are here. So you cannot turn a blind eye and 15 months after expect the whole nation to go after the president who has come to fix things. It can't happen. So in communicating, you need to be very strategic. That's what I'm saying. That communication is a fine act.
That's right.
That can be led by intellectuals. Intellectuals, not noise makers. A majority of the people leading communication for them, most of them are noise boxers, making noise all over the place. When you hear their voice, it's so annoying. Their voice, their tone, the language, elevate a pin in your heart. You can't see elevate a pin in your heart. What I say? So obi kasa. Nipa na sem na oka no eye wo bufu wo e ka wonkwan ka TV ni ya wo de ba ka wo do nsa boma pai TV no. You have unya sa feeling no be. I say nipa na oka asem no ono onka nyansa asem asa asem na oka de abufu sem asem no ase onokre wo mu atwatwe ni baabi e na all selling hypocrisy nti eye wo sa TV ni ya wankasa wo de ba wonka hwe fom.
Sana communication
na sa communication no and convincing nipa. So instead of connecting, that communication seek to disengage. Disengage means the people away now also. So distancing as a amount closer to the people, you are pushing that distance away. And look at the caliber of people leading the communication. And then it's about TikTok. Akrabia kofa kikise na ninya camera si na nima also a communicator. No one say boom 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 boom. The word politics na nkasa krontiase governance no onimba bi free ba. No one say wa yakeka nsem bi a kire no okwatie radio ba akomienu mienu o te say we kan we na yakeka bom ne adenam. Communication ya twra mo bi enti ukọ asampa FM de kwaku kan ho the same asem na bana kan ha the same asem na kofi the only difference ewom aya the voice aya sesan kwabrani ni adwene nim nyansa wo ni tim sa menso makosko me nipa asem yo mo dia mame let me analyze it na me situate within a reasonable context na me hwe how metimi apply me ankasa me way say be ya asem na me kan no betimi convince nipa or political communication make kai asem ayeti ha ye kan obi o ha ohuye nabufu asema wo kana ye ne time but ontimi nkasa wajai ontie oboa why den obetie because apart from so ono nya adwene ne nyina no onim se asem na wo kana eye no kre asem na wo kana he will learn something from it. So as a communicator should have that binding connection with your base. The wo kan asem na say win you obi a the wo direct communication na wo kasa ka emphasize obi ani so that is noise making. That's what I'm saying. Most of their communicators are noise boxers. And
TikTokers and take the center stage.
Because there are instances you go on social media, you're watching videos, unse a pop back. Nipa bi o when you born so unyentie de o kakra flip. Why? Because you are convinced beyond every reasonable doubt. Say nipa o ye wa huni nyansa de ntimi firi ni mu ma. Enti no untie no. Me say I'm very selective when it comes to things I listen. So morning show ni TV show na for hardly never say me review. Answer na metena TV say me hwe no. Na me nim say wonim nyansa me besua bibi. Anya sa no. Enye breaking news na mepe.
Answer na beka so wutie.
Yes, answer na metena say me tie obi either radio, TV or whatever. I should be convinced that wonim nyansa. Anya say I would never waste my time. Breaking news I could read it. And I prefer reading news than say meteor or masum. Because sometimes nipa no kind of bit me so before my interest akele. So me kwana ya trona me kind at least that is different. Because the last time I catch you niema utie e impact wo.
Very well.
E influence the way you think, and the way you think is what you become.
Exactly.
And you go social media na utie amanfo nsem hunu no mo kana. In utie to aswa in about 3 months when our language sources you speak like them because our mind are aligned to those things and you are not immune from the influences of those things. So in order to preserve your original the originality of your thinking, don't expose yourself to a lot of things. So now every social media me say minimum until say be ha sasem we are working by jele by from the genesis basis there me follow krana campus amate.
Right.
The only part I'm interested in is the outcome, which ordinary, I wouldn't want a situation where we look at transfer can drink. There's a state ya channel, and I say, you'd not from Rapanson, Yaku Jelino, Adaya, Unkuni po Mia. I'm not none of the cocansem. Palaska, see a cassa ye leave that particular area not unregulated. Greyer, the young in recent times, where shadow sponsors of political party leaders, Etimikosa Mamfuachi. Se mudia banya tema momra mejemo ya fansa ya nkra no moto nwom bi onam from mama ore na juma Jesus Christ ha nti ono no ote ho ukwaya na ba obejewo oje ayarefo oje ahiafo nti ukodi atem no ba umia bejewo omodo be ko party office ye be dware wa hohoro nan se ama wadua na di ya ka kire o se ya ba wabaso. When you do these things you incentivize. These are young people chasing attention. We say a lot of people you born din keke na ya de o.
Quick picture.
Exactly. Attention or more shopping. And me could do political opponent attempt automatically why not? But that is not politics. That is not the lie of leadership. As ya come because baumia baby a John Mahama tie nei e ho na wo partner. And you ba na say ye do attempt bia I will be happy. And people say among for dear Kufu do attempt. Alaska me I have never been on a platform. I have gone personal, insulting somebody. Never. And I will never do that. It's always about the issues. Being president as an incompetent leader. Not you as a father with your family. Whatever happens in your family, I don't care. What I say? Because age now when you're not is a blessing. Because it's not easy to be 80. And I will not go to that line. But I am looking at your performance as a leader, vis-a-vis the promises you made to the people, as against the corruption and air coso, as against the future of young people being taken away by your insatiable greed.
Okay.
And the desires that will make you family rich at the expense of these poor young people, our more future in the country. That is my problem. What I say? So we need to change the political narrative. Who say certain element of decency will be embraced. So we opposition party now per power. But we are still doing day. You can't just your friends bring back 1990, 2000 politics where you strike emotions, you flip the narrative for me as Antony, me and that tribal sentiment, ethnocentric supremacy, me away in the Suchemo, Sanya man and fly in the face of political logic. I would be anything. Alaska is about policies, programs, what you promise the people to do, the prospect of young people, where they want to go, opportunity, credibility, very key. I will be our promises. I watch a dollar. They said them. Now you can share your $100 and do I said them. I lock the key. No quay ye.
Dollar the key.
The door the quay or the number. Yes, is your friends. Or the South keeping. Now watch them. Dollar the Baumia said them for almost how many? Almost for 4 good years. Want to be MPA that. And if we come back here now, Kasa, your major focus should be how do I reconnect to the people so that the trust more loose in terms of my ability to manage the economy now, you know. How do I win that particular trust back? Because I know economic lecture how do you get that back?
Okay.
That should be the focus. It's not about sponsoring these your friend saying young people who don't know their left from their right going on social media. Mamefua wejare or that's what upon between the not TikTok in some hunu and nipanka no moto no moka. And the sad aspect is omo to kwan. Mese Ghana and Kwana say you 2 kwan ko pesika. Alaska, uko other jurisdiction as far you 2 kwan for sika o. You 2 kwan for enlightenment, you kusua there to get exposure. Because we nyansa. Well, here or cry, you can navigate your life through the storms of life. Typical Ghanaian code drug which and focus and pesca.
Okay.
And miracle when your opportunity to go to school cronko. But Nigeria for Alaska, the very moment they travel, any least opportunity they get, they go to school.
That's right.
Oba back no bear money Ghana and in that so proper. Your friends say danchemu. And we have recent development I koswa. And in was some of social media and I Ghana for Cromotiano Moyo. The supposed Nippon motu kind you expect say ka dodo na kotua nyansa nim de amodi beba fie no sa ma me phone bi e na no TikTok omo share amanfo kutupa sa enkura sesem we ekoso. So Alaska, for me it is a very sad development, but I cannot sit here and say the space should not be regulated because ya nya na ochina ye benu ye ho obi metese na obi ka say o akra o akra na se wa mana nsu won kra brema onyina wo ma me no besu ama no
wa mana nsu
e won kra brema onyina wo ma me no besu ama akra no akwa se last no be ka se yesuma kra brema na se wa nkwa onyina ba delivery ya shem I'm for cancer muno
right
yesuma kra brema wa nkwa onyina ba delivery ya shem ene o ba ko sa that here. Sa wo akra na wanya da ade amfi wani antia na mana nsu na wo ya wadwen se onnam musa ankwa Alaska onyina akra ni nyina wo ma me obesu ama wo tiase awko akoye ne ma bone ama wo betua ya se wakonya asem na da bia ma me utifie ebo bene. And that is exactly what is happening. So that bia meka my message to President Kufuor NPP mpanimfo na sabi omo adwemu bopi omo ya politics omo te politics ase no. They cannot leave the party in the hands of these young who are operating on baby's emotions. Alaska can't baby's emotions out as here. One who cry a pie in the board and or to tantrums that.
That's right.
Who can't show on Tiasia? The board no case of Bajina Kufa to buy no bino. Major ball, more you me from there, and I was sent a crowd in a ball. To turn and sad, 1 and 9. And that is the attitude this Kobia and Co are using to run the NPP. And Penny should realize, no, this is not the party and the legacy they want to leave behind. At least certain prominent people should come, because me, I want the NPP to be better. Sebeya bet me offer certain competition within our democratic space. Sebeya political party be able to say a community free sir oba you be performed, especially at the time a majority of the people are becoming increasingly wise. Ever boy na sempa.
That was Ivan.
Sunday so they were then at the Hadaha Barcelona for Messi near Yalami Yamadi, but be able to be a 2 year Barcelona near Unya champagne, and so I count so the best be a Juani.
Ivan joined us and that's in a can. Time 4 p.m. Pepe. Me coming over, Alan Graf Kwanza, Ewaha, a daily day.
Only a maka there.
Only believes in you.